Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and the new Nexus family has been announced today. Everything is official now, so the rumors can finally stop. So this is a video where I'm going to go over all my thoughts on it, the Nexus 6, the Nexus 9, the other stuff that was announced, and give all my thoughts on the official stuff, as well as the other things that have been uncovered in Twitter and Google Plus and other places I found. So you get some extra information here. So this is the video to share with everything we know about the new Nexuses and what we need to know. Let's just get right into it. So first of all, Android 5.0 is now a thing, and it's completely finished now, so it's going to be rolled out to Nexuses and Google Play Edition devices over the coming weeks. So I have a Nexus 5, I have a Google Play Edition HTC One M8. If you have these devices too, or a Nexus 10 or a Nexus 7, these will get updated to Android 5.0. We saw the developer preview before, but I've mentioned before that's not really complete. That wasn't the complete final operating system. So now in the final one, we're going to get a couple new features. We're going to get this battery saver mode that'll extend the life of our device in the last few percent by up to 90 minutes, which is great. We get multiple account support. Before we could only have that on tablets, but now you can have, say, a guest profile on your phone too. And there's also now Smart Lock, which is introduced to basically have trusted Bluetooth devices be able to unlock your phone and not require a password whenever they're connected. You'll still get all the material design stuff. You'll get all of the animations we talked about when I showed the developer preview. And also 5.0 is Android L Lollipop, in case you were caring about the code name. But that's not the most exciting thing that was mentioned today. Of course, the most exciting part is the new hardware that's come out to run these new operating systems. So let's take a look at the Nexus 9. The Nexus 9 is an 8.9-inch display tablet that's replacing both the Nexus 10 and the Nexus 7. So it's a sort of an in-between tablet. It's made by HTC, and it's beautiful. The specs are pretty solid. The 8.9-inch display is a 2048 by 1536 resolution. It has 2 gigs of RAM and a dual-core NVIDIA K1 chip at 2.3 gigahertz, 16 or 32 gigs of storage, an 8-megapixel camera, and a 6,700 milliamp hour battery. Now this NVIDIA K1 chip is 64-bit ready, so it's paired with 2 gigs of RAM, but of course it can handle a lot more. And the fact that it's going to be running stock Android 5.0 means it's probably going to perform really well. I haven't seen a whole bunch of other devices with the NVIDIA K1 chip, except for the Shield tablet that I reviewed not too long ago, but I mentioned in that video that it was a really seriously good performer, and it also ran pretty close to stock Android. Honestly, the Nexus 9 looks like the most impressive Android tablet I've ever seen. It has this brushed metal sides, it has those massive boom sound speakers, thank goodness HTC kept with that. And it has a couple of other HTC features like built in, so you can double tap the screen to wake it. Little things like that will be moved over. But it's a very impressive looking piece of hardware with all the metal on it and the sleek looks. So even though it's a 4:3 aspect ratio, I'm okay with it replacing the Nexus 10 because it has the front-facing speakers that the Nexus 10 has, probably even better. It also has a keyboard case, a first-party keyboard case made from Google, and that's really important because I use the Nexus 10 standing up so I can look at it and watch videos and stuff all the time. So having a case that'll prop it up and having a keyboard on it is really nice. I'll get you the price of that in the description right below the like button, but the price of the tablet will be starting at 16 gigs, $399 for Wi-Fi only. There's also an LTE model too. That'll be up for pre-order on October 17th. I'm excited to get my hands on it just because it's replacing the Nexus 10 I've been used for so long, and also because Android 5.0 Lollipop is pretty tempting to me. Now secondly, let's talk about the Nexus 6. I did a wish list video on this guy, right? It's a Moto X blown up. So what we're seeing now is it's official, a 6.0-inch Quad HD AMOLED display. It's a big phone, and essentially you're going to get a lot of the things that we predicted about this new Nexus when looking at the Moto X. The design hasn't changed all that much. It's going to look very familiar if you've seen it, and you might even now be able to call the Moto X as sort of a Nexus 6 Mini with Motorola features. The specs of the thing look baller, absolutely boss. It has a Snapdragon 805 chip. It has 3 gigabytes of RAM. It has the Adreno 420 GPU. It's a top-of-the-line device, clearly, and a lot of the things that I'll talk about later reflect that. Now, a lot of people's immediate reaction to seeing 6-inch phone is, well, that's way too big to be a phone. I really wish it was smaller. And at first I think this too, but I want to feel it in the hand because I looked up the measurement. The vertical measurement of the iPhone 6 Plus is 159 millimeters, and the vertical measurement of the much larger screened Nexus 6 is 159 millimeters. So this is a very similar size in the hand to the Nexus 6, and I'll look for other reference devices for perspective, and when I get my hands on it, I'll be doing a video to share with you guys exactly how big it is in the hand, but I'm curious to see how it feels. It's also a very thick phone. It's 10.5 millimeters thick, but that also gives it the advantage of a couple things. One, a 3,200 milliamp hour battery, and two, a 13 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization. It doesn't have the dimple on the back like the Nexus 6 does, but it has that same ring camera flash, and because it's made by Motorola, it makes me think it has very similar camera optics, which does concern me. Cameras have never been a high point on Nexuses. Image processing in general has never been a high point on Android devices, but they've worked on this, and because it's stock Android, it'll likely be a little bit different. So we'll see how the camera performs. Fingers crossed it's better than the Moto X and better than other previous Nexuses, but that wouldn't really be saying much. I am particularly happy about the specs and the combination of things that make this a really premium device. It has a massive battery and really high-end specs, which makes me think, even though it's a Quad HD display, stock Android 5.0 Lollipop on this device will probably last a long time and perform really well. It also has a couple of the extra features we talked about from Android 5.0, so it has that battery saving mode. It has a turbocharging technology, which means you'll be able to put it on the charger for about 15 minutes and get 6 hours of charge out of it. I will be testing that. And overall, it looks to be built like a tank, just like the Moto X was. Kind of hard to bend the thing when it's completely made of metal around the ring, and it seems like a pretty impressive chunk of a phone to hold in your hand. Now here's where it gets a little bit different. The final price will be $649 starting off contract. What? All the previous Nexuses have typically been a lower end price, the latest one being $350, and you can still buy the Nexus 5 for $350 off contract, but when you think about it, this is actually not that crazy of a price for the Nexus. Think about this again. It has the Adreno 420 GPU, it has the Snapdragon 805 chip, 3 GB of RAM, a huge, beautiful Quad HD 6-inch AMOLED display, a massive build, a 3,200 milliamp hour battery. When you put all that into perspective, all these specs, $649 is not that bad. The iPhone 6 Plus is $949 off contract. So I'm not gonna go ahead and say this Nexus 6 is overpriced. Yeah, it's way more than the previous Nexuses, but this is sort of the beginning of a march of, well, we talked about Android Silver. It's a more premium feeling stock Android experience. It's a reference device that's not necessarily cheap because other people are going to be able to buy it too. It's going to be sold in carrier stores. AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, US Cellular, and Verizon will all be able to sell the Nexus 6. Okay. I'm excited to feel this device in the hand. I want to see how big it feels. 10 millimeters thick, I think, is actually more important than 6-inch screen, but we'll feel it. We'll not bend it, but we'll twist it and see if it holds up to durability. So that actually goes on pre-order on October 29th at the end, and the Nexus 9, I don't know if I mentioned, goes on sale pre-order on October 17th. Now, there was one other little thing announced that's called the Nexus Player. It's part of the Nexus family technically, but it's very similar to Google Chromecast. It's essentially an Android TV-based media player / gaming console. It's the first ever device with this Android TV operating system, and that makes me think that that is the biggest difference between it and Chromecast. So you'll have a full-fledged operating system to play Android games, to web browse, and to play with a controller and do all sorts of things that you wouldn't be able to do with Chromecast. I want to test that out. I'm going to be plugging it into my TV and figuring out exactly what the differences are to see if it's worth your money. So stay tuned for that video. But until then, just know that it's a sort of a Chromecast Plus. So there you have it. It's the new Nexus family. I'm very excited to get my hands on these things and replace the Nexus 7 and Nexus 10 I have with the Nexus 9 and to get my hands on this stock Android 5.0 Lollipop final version. If you followed me on Twitter, you'll know that I've tweeted a whole bunch more information, and I'm going to be sharing stuff along the way when my device ships and when I get my hands on it. Might do an unboxing if you guys care, but definitely leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and share it with the people who are interested in the announcements today from Google. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button because there are more videos like this on the way and you can be the first to see them. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.